All right, good night, good evening, everybody. How you guys doing? All right, well, I'm going to show you some text messages, SMS, good old-fashioned SMS. It doesn't seem exciting at first, but it's going to get exciting, hopefully. We're having some technical difficulties. We were going to do our demo at a stage so we could show you some new features, and as expected, it's not working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it one last try. I haven't watched any presentations because we've been trying to get this thing to work. So I'm going to give it one last try, see if it works. And if it doesn't, I'll go to production, and I'll explain why production isn't going to be able to give you the same experience that stage would have. So here we are. I'm going to text start to the machine. I'm on my hotspot. All right, so we got the first message, and so I'm going to start talking now. So my 7 minutes starts right now. All right. So what is Relate? Relate is an SMS platform that coaches individuals to help them optimize their relationships. The types of relationships we're talking about are your committed relationships, like your spouse or your partner, your children, if you're a parent, and then ultimately your direct reports, if you're a manager or a leader in a corporate setting. So instead of going to a counselor, instead of going to a coach, instead of reading books, instead of clicking on clickbait, you would sign up for Relate by texting start to our phone number, and you start interacting with the machines. And it looks like Stage is not working because, as you can see, it has not sent me the contact card that it promised me. Wait a minute, what is this? All right, that is some behavior that was not expected. You know, all right, let's see what happens. I mean, this is like, we wanted to give you like something real, like live. We knew it was dangerous, and but we went for it anyway. So I'm just going to see what happens if I just text a little. Let's see what happens. I mean, it should. Yes, it did not understand that. You know, that's what I wanted. All right. Let's see if it understands this. Are you ready? We have not. Looks like we're waiting on a response for the previous step. All right. So far so good. This did not happen 2 minutes ago. Like this is a big deal. All right. So I'm just going to test it one more time. Then I'll explain what's happening. All right. So what Relate does is you sign up, you text start to a phone number, and then you get a message saying that you've enrolled in the program. We don't ask you for your name. We don't ask you for your social security number or your address. All we get is your phone number, so it's completely anonymous because we want people to be as open with us as possible because people are sharing very detailed things about their personal lives with Relate, with the machine. There's no human being in the background. No one's looking at data. No one's responding to these texts. So we really want people to be open. So you sign up, you text start, and then you get 3 types of messages. You get challenges, tips, and surveys. So what I would have expected to happen is I should have gotten a survey, and it seems for whatever reason, this thing is deciding to text me back like in a different channel here in Google Voice. So you can see here that it said, here's a contact card. It texts me back, and then it said I'm going to get 3 types of messages, and then it wants me to complete this first survey. The first survey is pretty innocuous. We don't ask anything personal, super personal. But certainly as we get deeper, as you start as you get to know the machine more, we start asking things about your income, your age, your ethnicity, who you voted for, you know, sex life. I mean, all sorts of different stuff because we really need this information to figure out who you are. Because what we're doing is we are using unsupervised classification methods to classify people into cohorts, and those cohorts define the way you interact with your environment, whether it's your partner, your wife, your spouse, your husband, your children, or your direct reports at work. And then once we know what cohort you're in, we can optimize the coaching for you. So you can see Relate is talking to me, and so Relate is different than other chatbots because the deal with Relate is once you click start, like it just goes, and Relate pulls you into the application and then pushes you out at an interval that it thinks is best for you and your relationships. So it's not a chatbot that you sit there and you talk back and forth. So you can see here, it says, it's telling me about the research that it's using. So we're using something that was developed in 1991 out of Ohio, which is a specific type of relationship management theory. And where did this theory come from? This theory came from this idea where there's like basically 5 things you need to do to have a good relationship with anyone, particularly someone that you're in love with. But here's some of the features with Relate. So suppose you get a challenge, and say you don't like the challenge. Then you would say, remind me. And then Relate would remind you. And so our users have told us that they like the ability to set the timer on the reminders. So right now it's fixed to 3 days, and people can choose which one they want. You know, so say you wanted to skip. Let's see if it skips the challenge for us. So it's responding to me in 2 different channels for some reason. All right, so what we did with Stage is the normal program runs over days, so you might respond to Relate, and it'll say, okay, I'll get back to you in a couple days. So what we have to do for today is we have to speed everything up to a couple seconds. So there's a little bit of a mistiming in my messages going out and it coming back to me. So it's telling me to schedule a get-together with one of my significant other's friends, and this is one of our most unpopular challenges. So, yeah, I mean, you can imagine we're collecting all sorts of amazing data, and we've had 20,000 interactions so far from about 1,000 users since we opened up the beta, and this is definitely the one people dislike the most for whatever reason. But I really think that if you do put together an event with your significant other's friends, it's going to go a long way in your relationship. So I encourage everybody here to do that. So since no one likes it, I'm going to skip it. And let's see if it skips it for us. I'm on my hotspot, going through Google Voice. It's going a little slow. I have like 30 seconds left. So this didn't go exactly as planned. You know, so supposing that I wanted, suppose I didn't do a challenge. Supposing I got a challenge I really liked, you know, that I really wanted to engage in. Well, Relate skips it for you if you don't do it within a certain amount of time based on your past behavior. Well, one of the things our users asked for was the ability to go back and say, hey, I want to do that one. So we can say undo auto skip, and it would go back and put that back in the pool. So think about it. There's like a repository of challenges, a repository of tips, a repository of surveys, and based on how you're interacting with the program and your personal demographics, it starts customizing the cadence, the frequency, the intensity, and which ones go to you. So obviously, like a tip around how to interact with your spouse if you have, oh, mic to chin. Sorry about that. All right, so it takes all these different variables into account, and the longer you use it, the smarter it gets. And if you're interested, our beta is open, and you can text START to this phone number, 612-806-0144. I won't know who you are. I'll just know that you're at mini demo if I see your start date was today at about 8:26. But again, it's completely anonymous, so go ahead and sign up. We're seeing great results. People are loving it, and more features are to come. Thanks.